This week, the altcoin market started to collapse. Investors are starting to get scared. And while everyone's asking if this bull market may be over, we're not. Because unlike most communities, we've been expecting this correction. And now that it's here, we know that this correction could actually be one of our final opportunities in this cycle to hit it big. We know that if we block out the noise, and if we play this correction correctly, this correction could actually make us rich. So in this video, I'm going to show you why the altcoins are crashing. I'm also going to show you exactly when to start buying so that you use this correction to actually get rich. I'm 𝗬𝗪𝗏, and I've been in crypto for 11 years. I've been here for 3 cycles, and I can tell you that every single fortune that I've seen made in this market was made in moments just like this. My goal is to build the most profitable community in the world. And so today I'm going to give you the playbook on how to play this correction. How to turn a scary moment like this into the biggest money-making opportunity of your life. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell because I don't know how many more opportunities like this we're actually going to get. First, you need to understand that this may not be just another one of those dips. This may actually be one of the proper sentiment resets of the bull market. And the truth is, we knew it was coming. Last week, we raised alarm bells before it started. Why? Because one of our most reliable indicators, it flashed. And it warned us that we should brace ourselves for correction. Not a leverage flash, but an actual correction. This indicator is the altcoin leverage open interest versus the Bitcoin leverage open interest. And it's been accurate 100% of the time. Historically, every time that investors take more leverage on altcoins than they do on Bitcoin, that shows signs of over-exuberance and overconfidence. And those are the exact conditions that markets actually love to flush. And that's exactly what happened. About 7 days after it crossed, the markets flushed out the leverage. $1.7 billion liquidated in 24 hours. 400,000 traders completely wiped. And the market sentiment reduced from greed all the way back to extreme fear. And this is exactly the opportunity that we've been waiting for. I mean, just look at the fear and greed chart. For months, we've been living in neutral and greed territory. And that's boring because at neutral and greed territory, you do absolutely nothing. But when the fear and greed indicator gets to extreme fear or even to fear, that's when the fun begins. Because I can tell you, after 3 cycles in the crypto market, there are really only 2 things that would get me to deploy more capital in the market. The first one is if I got inside information. And luckily, if you're already subscribed to this channel, you know that you've got that base covered. The only other thing that could get me to deploy more capital into this market is when this market gets into extreme fear. It's literally a trading system with 100% success rate, especially in a bull market, because bull markets by definition are long periods of time when people remain bullish. And the more bullish they remain, the more the bullish momentum builds. And that's what causes the markets to accelerate. But every now and then in the bull market, we get a wobble, we get a leverage flush, we get a momentum reset. In 2017, we had 7 of these corrections. And on average, in each one of these corrections, Bitcoin went down about 30%. And the altcoins, well, they got destroyed. In 2021, it was pretty similar. I mean, we had 6 corrections on Bitcoin. The average was about 25%. And again, every time we had a correction on Bitcoin, the altcoins got absolutely destroyed. And now here we are again, 2025, another post-election year. And we're at the last part of the bull cycle. We've had about 6 corrections this year, and on average, we've suffered about 20% on Bitcoin. As you can see, when you get to the latter part of the cycles, the dips become more rare. And when they come, they move very, very, very fast. So when these opportunities arrive, you have to be prepared. And right now, when I look at the charts, it looks like this may be one of those opportunities. Because we've been in this bull market for, let's say, 17 months. And we haven't really had a correction since somewhere around Jan or Feb. For months, the fear and greed has been hovering around greed and neutral. But now for the first time, we're getting a sentiment change. One of the momentum resets of the cycle. This is a period where the euphoria that we've seen in the last couple of weeks with Aster flying, with Solana flying, and with Hype flying is turning into extreme fear, into people literally believing that it could be the end of the bull market. But we know that's not the case because none of the major cycle top signals have triggered. And when I say none, I mean none. I mean, just look at the pi cycle top indicator. This indicator picked up the top of the previous cycle to within 3 days. Has it crossed? No. Has it triggered? No. Now look at the CBBI. It's made up of 9 indicators. Historically, we topped when this indicator hits over 90. We're not even close to the top. This is mid-cycle behavior. This is not late cycle euphoria. This is what a healthy sentiment resetting looks like. And so when we sense panic in the market like this, that's when we strike. That's our strategy. That's how we use the panic to actually get rich. We literally have to block out the noise, block out the emotion, and wait for this indicator to signal extreme fear. And when it does, we have between 7 to 15 days to execute. Because history shows that whenever this indicator goes into extreme fear in a bull market, within 7 to 15 days, we start picking up again and people start buying. That's of course with one exception, because in 2021, it lasted for about 70 days. But that was much more of a mid-cycle correction. Now I'm warning you in advance. This strategy sounds easy, but even for the most experienced minds in the space, when the markets are down and the sentiment is low, buying is really, really tough. Because the news cycle and the Twitter posts make you feel that this time really is different and that this time it won't recover. And in my first and second cycle, even though I knew deep down inside that the market should recover, I still freaked out at the point where we reached max fear. Let me show you a few personal examples. So in May 2021, Bitcoin collapsed from $59,000 to $28,000. It was one of the biggest corrections of the entire cycle. It wasn't a technical pullback, it was a collapse. The market was hit with a double whammy of bad news. First, China came out and banned crypto again.
The hit Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are taking this morning. That's after China declared all transactions of the sort illegal.
Even though they'd made the threats before, this time the market took it seriously. At the same time, Elon drops a bombshell, and he says that Tesla is no longer going to accept Bitcoin as a form of payment because of environmental concerns.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk tweeted Wednesday, U.S. local time, that Tesla has, quote, suspended vehicle purchases using Bitcoin out of concern over the fast increasing use of fossil fuels for Bitcoin mining and transactions.
That 1-2 punch spooked the entire industry. Confidence evaporated. People were calling for the end of the bull market. And the fear and greed index plunged to extreme fear. And we didn't just dip. We didn't dip for a few weeks. We dipped for 70 days. That's over 2 months of pain and sideways chop. And at that time, everyone was calling for the end of the bull market. But anyone who managed to buy here, well, they made bombs. Because what happened next? Well, once the fear was flushed out, Bitcoin ripped back to $50,000 and it kept running from there. Then it happened again in May 2022. I'll never forget that day. The Terra Luna collapse.
The sudden collapse of Terra sent shockwaves through the crypto industry. According to Elliptic, holders of UST and Luna lost a total of $42 billion. Major investors like Coinbase Ventures lost millions of dollars as well.
It wasn't just a technical pullback. It was a collapse of one of the biggest protocols in the space. And it led to a complete leverage unwind of the entire cycle. Celsius collapsed.
Banks are not your friends. They say that image was shattered when they heard from Celsius that their accounts would be frozen on June 12th. Celsius blaming extreme market conditions.
Genesis collapsed.
Genesis filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy last night, looking for an emergency bailout of $1 billion and could not find any takers.
Three Arrows Capital collapsed.
First, that liquidation of Three Arrows Capital, a source telling me yesterday that the company is in the liquidation process.
It was a full market meltdown. It was also a complete reset of fear and greed. The indicator went from 80 to less than 10, which is extreme fear. And again, it sat there for 2 months. And then finally, in 2022, when FTX collapsed.
News overnight, Sam Bankman-Fried is now in custody in the Bahamas.
His $32 billion cryptocurrency exchange, FTX, goes bankrupt in a matter of days. $8.9 billion in customer funds are missing.
Crypto was completely wiped. Solana was declared dead, and the fear and greed was at its lowest point ever. I saw Solana, my second biggest holding, and the last big bag that I actually had in crypto after I lost all my money on Luna. Solana hit $8. $8 after being at $260 earlier in the cycle. I felt sick in my stomach. Everything I built in crypto, I'd now lost. First it was Luna, and now it was Solana. But what I did this time, I did it different. I fought the urge. I fought the fear. And instead of being scared, I deployed my biggest position in the market. I bought Solana at $13. And today, that trade is up nearly 20x. And because of this one trade, my entire portfolio has recovered. I finally learned the most valuable lesson in my trading career. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't look for hidden clues in the charts. Don't look at the news or don't look at Twitter. Just follow the emotion cycle. And at that point where everyone is pronouncing the bull market dead or the chain dead, that's when we deploy. As you saw in the data, it's literally that simple. It's a strategy that has a 100% hit rate in the last 15 years. So we're not deploying it. We're waiting for the indicator to hit extreme fear. And when it does, I'm going to bring you some live updates on this channel with every single purchase that I made. So listen, if you're not already subscribed, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and I'll be live as soon as I'm ready to deploy. I'll see you again next time. Until then, trade well, my friend.